Sam Sorbo here. Welcome to part 2 of my interview with Chloe Cole, the young woman who transitioned to being to living her life as a boy when she was very young, and then eventually decided to transition back. Her story is quite gruesome in places. It does get a little bit graphic. Stay with me. You will. This interview is an amazing thing. Hi, this is Sam Sorbo. Kevin and I have discovered a great American company that supports our traditional values and the work we're doing to restore our culture from the lies of the left. Check out sorbo.nutramedix.com for great health wellness products like my favorite. They have a stress support kit, which I use every day. And I have to say, it really does help. So check it out at sorbo.nutramedix with an X, nutramedix.com. And don't forget to use the code SORBO at checkout. Thanks for listening. All right, welcome back to the program. Sam Sorbo here with my guest, Chloe Cole. And we're talking about her transitioning from being a young girl into being a trans kid, as she puts it now. At the time, at 12, she thought that she could control her puberty and actually grow up to become a boy instead of a girl. And it was in large part because the images that she was exposed to, and she brought up Instagram, I'm sure elsewhere in the culture, the images that she was exposed to showed her women in a manner that she couldn't identify with. And so in a sense, seeking her own identity, she started to identify as a young male. So you got the hormone blockers, or you petitioned to get the hormone blockers. Let's walk through that stage now. So did they give you hormone blockers, and how old were you?
Yes, they did. I was 13. And
13?
that went on for about a year. And about a month after I started them.
Before, so there's sorry, like I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think it's so useful for people to understand the specifics of all of this. At the age of 13, you're already having hormonal female things happening, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so was that scary to you? Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be a girl before I know it.
Yeah, that was really difficult to deal with, actually. I mean, I had only started my period about a year before I had started on the medical treatments. In fact, I was so young that my periods hadn't even regulated yet. Like, I only had about like 3 to 4 per year, and that was just like terrifying to me. I thought that there was something wrong with me, because like the other girls around me, and like the older women around me, like they would say that it would be like a monthly thing for them, but it wasn't for me. And that was something that was one of many things that just made me scared that there was something wrong with me as a girl.
So it was an affirmation that you were on the right track in denying your femalehood and moving into the male version of yourself.
Yeah.
And so were you pressuring, was this a conversation that you had with your parents, or did they sort of bow out and, hey, how's it going with your therapist, you know?
Yeah, so I did talk to them about this, and initially they were a little bit reluctant, but they had the same conversation with like the doctors that put me on this, and the doctors are basically like, oh no, kids already know their gender from a very young age, and so she already knows what's best for her. If you don't affirm her, there's a risk that she might end up killing herself. Actually, there's about they cited the suicide statistics, like say
That's
like
that's crazy, because the suicide statistics are the same either way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just a scared. Okay, we'll get into how bad the people are, how much evil there is in all of this in a bit. But so your parents were kind of like, well, we're not sure this is the right thing to do, but they were scared into it. And you were
Mhm.
standing there going, stop preventing me from becoming who I truly am. I want this for myself, right?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you started the puberty blockers, and you didn't start testosterone right away, or did they put you on testosterone right away?
About a month after I started blockers, they wanted like a little period of time where like they could like flush out like the sex hormones that my body was naturally producing, so that it could like make space for the artificial hormones.
And so what was that experience like before the testosterone?
Um, so the blockers, I remember well, this was so long ago. I can't really remember like all the details, but I remember it was just like this period of just constantly like being bored, almost a little bit depressed, because there were no sex hormones circulating in my body, and like it was just like I would wake up every day just like basically waiting to go on testosterone, and it made it a
Okay,
little
so it wasn't
difficult to,
any
yeah.
major shift. You were just still waiting for the big guns. You were waiting for the big change that you thought was coming. And did testosterone provide that for you?
Yeah, but before I so I actually started getting some side effects from blockers as well. Um, the first one I could think of would be the hot flashes, which are usually experienced by women who are going through menopause, like around like 60 to 70 years of age usually. I was experiencing those at 13 up until 14 when I stopped them. Um, that was horrible, honestly. It was like every day my whole body just would be uncomfortably hot. So I can even wear like warm clothes in the winter because of it. And like it was accompanied by really bad itching too.
Oi. Okay. And then the testosterone.
Yeah.
And
Um
what was the reaction that your body had to the testosterone?
um so I found that it was almost like kind of a euphoric feeling. I don't know if that was just like from the excitement of like starting on it, or like the just the effects of testosterone on the body and the mind. But the most immediate change that I could think of would be that my voice started dropping, and that started to take place within not months but weeks. It was one of the quickest side effects to come, and my features started changing as well. My jaw started sharpening. My shoulders started getting bigger. I started to store less fat in my hips and thighs and more in like my abdominal area. And I developed quite a bit of muscle over the years. Um,
Was that
I
purposeful, or
found that
was that just a natural, like the
it
fat
was just it was just kind of an
a
effect
nat-
of the testosterone. I wasn't crazy athletic. I mean, the most I would do usually would be like running or like doing PE at school. That was about it. I wasn't involved in any sports, but I developed a pretty decent amount of muscle actually. Um, but I remember I was more prone to, it was actually harder to regulate my emotions after a while. I was more it was more difficult to cry, and when I would cry, I wouldn't really get as much as a like an emotional release from it as I did before, and I was more prone to getting angry, getting upset, and it made a lot of things more difficult to deal with. I was more prone to making some really rash decisions during my high school years because of it.
how
I
many
mean,
years are we talking about?
as a teenager, you're naturally kind of prone to making irresponsible decisions, but that just made it a lot worse for me, and I end up doing a few things that I still regret. And some of the more dangerous side effects that I can think of would be, I mean, about a year on T, I think I started developing some issues with my urinary tract actually. Um, it started with like UTI-like symptoms, and when it would get really bad, it would be like there would be blood in my urine, and that actually had gotten a bit worse after stopping testosterone. I this wasn't something that was disclosed to me actually. I didn't, like, I was informed that it would cause like atrophy of, is it okay if I get a little bit graphic?
Get graphic. Fair warning,
All right.
everybody. We may get graphic. Here we go.
Mhm. I remember the endocrinologist who gave me the consent forms told me, hey, you might experience vaginal atrophy. I was 13 when I was consented to this. I didn't really know what that meant. Like, I did a little bit of research, but it's not something that you can really fully understand until it starts happening. I thought it was just the vagina. I didn't know that it would affect other organs in my pelvis, such as the uterus or the whole reproductive system, or even my urinary tract. I think what I think happened was that it caused atrophy of my urinary tract, possibly my bladder. And because of that, I still experience stuff like UT. I'm more prone to like issues with my urinary tract to this day.
Infections and things.
Yeah.
Okay. You were on testosterone for all of high school?
I stopped testosterone before my senior year actually. When
Just before you.
when I detransitioned. Yeah.
And by the way, like, did you have any friends at this point? What was the social aspect of any of this? Did you have friends who were transitioning alongside you? Was there anything like that?
So I over the course of a few years, I started making some friends, and some of them just so happened to be like gay or bisexual. Over the years, I saw an increasing amount of girls identifying as like non-binary, using like different pronouns, and some of them actually ended up identifying as transgender as well. All girls. I never knew any trans identified teen boys. It was all girls. None of them had medically transitioned like I did, but I mean, after a lot of them got like phones and like got into high school and stuff, a lot of them started identifying as transgender like I did. And I don't really feel like there was like a social contagion element of it for me. I mean, in terms of like friends at school, it was more like social media. But I do feel like a few people kind of were influenced by me transitioning. I do have I do feel a little bit of guilt over that. I never really pushed anybody into transitioning, but I mean, when you're a teenager, you kind of just like want to fit in,
Let
and
me
you
ask you
tend to
this.
like copy your peers.
You're saying that you didn't know other children who were transitioning medically, but at the same time, that puts you in the position of being a trailblazer. And while you feel a little bit guilty that other people followed in your footsteps, maybe you didn't try to influence them to follow in your footsteps, but you were, in a sense, right, a trailblazer.
Yeah.
And were you telling people any of the adverse effects, or had you not really appreciated them at that point? I mean, if you're on testosterone, and the reports that I've read say that testosterone makes, because it's the young male hormone, it makes you bolder and less
Yes.
insecure, right? So young
Yeah.
women who go on testosterone feel like, ha, now I can rule the world. I'm strong, right?
Basically, yeah.
And at the same time, did you start experiencing the negative side effects right away? I know you experienced some seemingly positive side effects. Did you start to experience those negative side effects fairly quickly?
It was actually over the course of a few years that I
Okay.
started experiencing the negative side effects, and this was exacerbated by stopping the testosterone.
So, going off the testosterone made it actually worse, which is typical
Yeah.
for drugs. You get side effects, and then when you
Mhm.
quit the drug, the side effects actually get worse for whatever
I
reason.
mean, yeah, I mean, not to mention that these are sex hormones. They're involved in so many bodily processes, and we don't even fully understand how they work. Um, I mean, I didn't really know what was going to happen if I went off of it. I mean, I didn't really, for a while, I couldn't really fathom going off of it, because I never thought that it would get to this point, that it would start to affect my health, and that I wouldn't want to do this anymore.
Okay, I want to delve into that in just a minute. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about that and also the top surgery and how you got to the point where you said, this is for the birds, I quit. And then how you got to becoming a spokesperson against the transgender movement. So stay with me. This is the Sam Sorbo Show, and I'll be right back.